welcome, and I'm feeling righteous. Brother Ish. Oh, he's over there looking for somebody invited me here.
Don't ask me for nothing, cause I ain't got no money. Damn, I need a rich girl. She said all of my love, and that's all she want from me. Damn, I need a rich girl.
Yeah. Welcome. This is the Valenti Soundoff. I am Ishma, here with my sister Shali. We're excited. We got a heck of a night planned for y'all tonight, and we have some great stuff to talk about. So, I think the first thing we want to talk about is
a little bit of the college players getting some of the money they deserve, right?
Yes, they deserve. I like how you put that. Expand on that. What's going on?
I mean, so California, right? Just governor passed the law, and it looks like it's not going to take effect until 2023.
Okay.
But it allows the college athletes to sign endorsements.
So meaning that, like, if I'm an athlete and I'm like starting quarterback or something, right? I can then go and say, hey, Bayside car dealership, right? Put me on your commercial.
Right.
Cost $200, and I will be in your commercial for a car salesman. So they can do that now.
If they can do that, and not only alone the jersey sales, right? Those alone, those are the things that's going.
So they're going to be able to make money off the jersey.
They're going to actually be able to make money off the things that they should make money off of.
So
nobody else is selling those.
So does this mean that we could get an EA Sports college football back again?
That would be.
If we could pay the players for their likeness.
That means a little bit of time we'd be spent on gaming.
Yeah, my brain would go back to mush just playing college football. So let's break that down. Why do we think? I mean, well, is that a problem? Why is there pushback against this?
There's always pushback because people say they're getting a free education.
Oh yeah.
Right. That's the number one argument that you always get. Well, they're going to these very prestigious colleges that cost so much a year, and they're getting all of this money already paid for, basically, for them while they're going to school playing a game.
Sure. So football, so they're putting their life on the line first.
Putting their life on the line for them every Saturday.
But are we talking about the market value, what the kids bring, the young men, what they bring to the college, the university, and then to the sport itself, right? Because they are generating what seems to be billions of dollars in advertisement dollars, between ticket sales, between all of the different things that they generate, and then the economies per se. So let's say the University of Nebraska, right, the Cornhuskers. When we think about a market like the Haymarket, downtown, right? Booming. And what do they call that new area? The rail yard? Right. The rail yard. So when we think about the rail yard, right, we think about, well, how much money is generated on college football Saturday down at the rail yard compared to how much money is generated down when there's no college football or when there's an off game or an away game, right? A lot of these businesses, they live and die by college football Saturday.
True.
Right? They really depend on this. And even when the Huskers aren't winning and it's going bad, let's say they're 0-6, how they started out last time, they saw a hit at their restaurants. When those guys are performing and they're out there doing great and winning big games, everybody's making more money. So do they deserve some of that?
Of course they deserve some of that, because they are, in the end, are the ones that are bringing those people out there, the revenue out there, to the games and watching these young men perform. And they're getting everybody money but themselves. So in the end run, are we saying that these young men don't deserve a piece of things, like I said, their jersey sales, or if they are, if we do bring back the EA Sports and things like that, like little things like that, of course.
So I would like us to remember how hard it is to be a college athlete. Okay, just how hard it is. And it's so hard because if you're a college athlete, first thing, you have to go to school. You have to keep up with a certain GPA per semester that's going to allow you to be eligible in your sport. Now, on that, you're going to have to make for sure that you're studying. For every hour that you're in a class, you're supposed to spend 3 hours, right, studying. And so that if you're 15 credit hour courses, right, you're supposed to spend, or however it goes, just 15 credit hour course, you're supposed to spend 3 hours per credit hour studying. Then on top of that, you have to go to practice. team meetings,
Yep.
the training table. You got to eat certain times and certain things, travel and all these different things. Have to study your playbook and know. So you think about how many hours that you're putting in being a college athlete, then compared to even if it is the full ride. Well, we had some smart people do the math, and these guys are literally getting paid something between $2.50 and $3.25 an hour, depending on which school you go to. Because of how much work they have to put in.
Yeah.
That's nowhere close to minimum wage. That's nowhere close to a living wage.
It's not even what waitresses get.
They're putting that in for the benefit of the school. Now, are there some exceptions? What about a guy who's third string, never really plays? They say, oh, well, does he deserve money? Does he deserve these things? Well, hold on. He's in practice. Right. He's playing up against those guys in practice. He's adding to the team camaraderie. He's in the locker room. So they're playing as well. And so, when we think about this, if we're taking the money, say like Nebraska, we're spreading it around to help prop up other programs and all those things. Yeah. That's fine. I like how it's helping. But pay those players as well. Senator Justin Wayne, he said that he will be introducing legislation similar to the legislation that is introduced or that was passed in California, similar to legislation that was just introduced in South Carolina. Now, we forget, hold on, Ernie Chambers, he's been doing that year by year by year. He had a pattern of introducing legislation that would let the college football players get paid.
Shout out to Ernie Chambers.
He's been doing that forever.
Staying down.
Papa John told me about that a long time ago. He's been doing it forever.
Yeah, that's his guy right there.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's definitely precedent that's going to be set for it. And I'm excited to see what the new law looks like.
I'm super excited. I think it's going to be great and monumental for these young men who we just established are literally working a job, basically, and not getting paid for it. And that's what we're saying. Do they not deserve to get paid for working a job? Because anywhere else, you would want your money. But also, I think that, and it also helps. We talked about the third string players and things like that. I think that it also, if they're really good at what they're doing, that player is going to be able to sign a better deal, obviously, or be able to get whatever type of money they need.
The endorsements and whatnot.
and the endorsements, stuff like that. So it all trickles down to even out somehow, I believe.
So then is that going to give California an unfair advantage once they're able to do it and other schools or other states maybe don't follow suit? Because, hey, look, if you go to LA, you go to a Northern California school, you go down to San Diego State or something, you got a big market that you can get into. You can go and sign endorsement deals for so many different places. To whereas if you go to Iowa State, you're in Ames, Iowa.
Cyclones, you can't get
there's not as many businesses to go to, right? If you sign to a smaller market school, right, Ohio State, and you're just in Columbia, like it isn't as big as a market as like a California.
But just not even having the opportunity to be able to sign any type of deal in that state, because of the rules and litigation of all those things. That'll be.
So I think also we're only talking about football. That opens it up for basketball. Sports, That opens it up for all these collegiate sports that have been held back, that are going to be able to, these people are going to be able to. So here's what really brings it up. What about like the YouTube channels and things? Because young people were having to stop their YouTube channels because they're getting thousands and thousands of followers and being able to monetize their channel, but they were doing their life, right? It's documenting their life while they were going through school, while they're going through practice and things like that. But they're saying that they were making money off their likeness while attached to the NCAA, and they were making people stop that. So now they can do it again in California. In 2023.
Things like that, it just seems like little low blows. You just want a shot of everything.
Does that seem weird?
Yeah, how could you possibly want a piece of somebody else's thing? Yeah. Well, you went through my area, so I deserve a piece of that little bit of thing. Yeah. But I think in the end run, I love it. I think it's great because I've had that conversation plenty of times with people. When it comes down to it, these young men are doing and women in college sports, they should be able to reap the rewards just like everyone around them is doing.
Just like everybody else.
Not any more or any less. Right. Just give them the sales of whatever their, number or whatever their,
Scott Frost, he can do whatever commercial he wants.
Oh my goodness.
Right, so he's getting 13,000 something a day, and he can do whatever commercial he wants.
I went going to the games, right? They're sponsored with McDonald's, so the boy you see plays in the background holding up Big Macs, like stuff like that.
They're sponsored by McDonald's, or is that just a? Sometimes those just play call things.
But it was one of the actual players like holding up those sandwiches. So that's what I'm saying.
I mean, when
right?
you do something like that,
like, is that not? How can you not want?
That may make people want to eat a Big Mac.
It's gonna make Husker Nation
That's horrible.
eat a Big Mac.
That's
sure.
horrible.
But so things like that, it's just like, how could you not say that they deserve that?
Sure.
But
I agree. I definitely.
It'll be
agree.
interesting to see what happens. Who follows suit and who doesn't? Because that's gonna be huge. It is, like you said, players are gonna want to go there. They're gonna want to play in a state where they can be able to get paid as well as play the game they love. So
definitely. Well, that really is going to help the Pac-12.
Yeah, they struggling.
I mean, have you seen attendance records? Right, UCLA and Oklahoma played. Right, so UCLA Oklahoma played, and it was literally UCLA gave out 75,000 tickets. They gave out for free.
And how many even ended up attending?
Face value. A lot of these face value tickets are $268 per face value. You know what? They said there was something like 47,000 that was in the stadium.
Imagine that.
And it was something like 80% Oklahoma fans.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts out there killing them.
But you have to remember, so in a market like LA, what else is there going on? There's so much stuff. There's so much stuff to go. Yeah. Plus, you got a saturated football market because you got the Rams and the Chargers.
Yeah.
So you have a saturated market in LA, and then you got USC, the crosstown rival, which is just killing. Right, and so UCLA is having a hard time. And Chip Kelly, I feel sorry for Chip. I don't think
it's gonna work out.
I feel sorry for Chip.
He ain't gonna be able to make that offense pop like it was.
A lot of times people forget it is the players. It's not the X's and O's. It's the Jimmies and Joes.
Show you how it goes. We go out for days. Look, but people would say like great coaches. So what about Nick Saban and
sure,
Urban Meyer?
Sure. And every time, and now don't get me wrong, even if you have a good scheme and all that, that's cool. But every time you see Urban Meyer or you say Nick Saban, you can highlight their key player every time they were successful. These guys had really, really great key players. And I mean, it's the same thing with, they say, any successful team, maybe you can do that. But then you say someone like Scott Frost, right? Mm-hmm. If you're playing in a league that he was with the type of competition he was against when he was at UCF, right? And he has a Milton, right? He has an amazing quarterback that really was an Oregon quarterback that got down to UCF just because of Scott Frost's connection, right? And he blows it up because that's an amazing quarterback, an amazing guy, had the scheme against that competition. You see what happens when it comes to Nebraska, right? It's a whole new world.
Sure.
And you'll see what happens next week at
Illinois.
Yes.
Big Ten play.
Another big team.
Under the
another
lights.
Big Ten team. So we should see. Mm-hmm. But I mean, it really is on the players. You think about John Wooden, right?
Yeah.
One of the greatest coaches. And you think, well, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Mm-hmm. You're thinking Bill Russell. You're thinking, excuse me, Bill Walton. You think of Bill Walton. So you're thinking about some of the greats of the sport that are coached by this guy. But they had that great marquee player.
Career, though, too, where they led on from college, right? And long into that.
So that's what I'm saying. I feel like a lot of emphasis is put on coaching and the coaches, which is important, don't get me wrong, but you have to have amazing talent.
There's just no way around it. But also, too, I think people might be Les Miles over there at Kansas. Kansas, they over there winning.
Well, no, hold on. Not so fast, my friend. Last week, do you know who they lost to?
Who?
They lost to Southern Coastal Carolina or Coastal Carolina. However it goes, I lost the bet, okay? Because I thought that Kansas would show up at home. They got smashed at home by Coastal Carolina.
So then they'd be like, what about UCF? Because UCF over here rolling
by Coastal Carolina.
And then they don't have, but like you said, it's about the players, right? So they got the players that
But they're in a different league. That's the thing. They're in a different league.
But they smashed Stanford. But Stanford, I guess, ain't what it is either.
Stanford did come.
Stanford obviously is a power. You think of
Power 5. It was a great win.
Anyway,
it was a great win.
It's just little things you go back and forth with. But I do think overall, obviously, the players, they will make things work.
Players do. And, I thought that we'll see what Les Miles can do over there. We shall see.
Over there eating that Kansas grass.
We shall see what's happening. They're waving the weed over there with Les Miles. and but they showed up. They did. Anybody who took Kansas on the money line there was feeling good.
Feeling good about that one.
They really were. Now, I want to go back to a little bit of this, of this talk Well, I mean, there's a bunch to talk about, and I know this might be a sensitive subject. Ooh, should I bring out a sensitive subject?
Yeah, this sound off.
Okay, let's bring a sensitive subject. One of the things that we've been seeing that's been happening, we've seen a lot of reports of the difference of thought when it comes to the sports being equal. And what I mean by that is, you know how you have men's sports, you have women's sports, right? But now with the new movement of transgender and non-gender identifying, right? There's just a ruling passed that, you know, it says, the House just decided that there has to be protection for people transitioning athletes. And so does that mean that now we're going to have a new category of sports where we have men's sports, women's sports, and then the transitioning sports, or should they be put into the places where they're trying to transition?
Should they be allowed, right, to play as?
Yeah, or should they be in the transition?
Yeah, sure.
So a person that's born a male biologically and changing and saying, you know, feeling that they are a woman, then they change and go through transition. Should they be able to compete with the women?
Play as a female.
Or do we create a non-gender league, like how we have women's basketball, men's basketball, and they have to, and each school has to provide for each under the Civil Rights, you know, Act. Yeah. Each one has to provide for each, and then we make for sure that we provide another lane. Is that the conclusion? I mean, not conclusion. Is that the solution, or is the solution to put them with the women that are transitioning to males with the males, and the males that are transitioning to women?
I think that no solution is going to make anybody feel happy. Whether we put 3 groups, allow them just to play as 2, as we already have, right? As just a man and a woman, and then whatever they have transition to, because you're always going to have. So, I think my feelings on it is that you have to. We're at a day and age that there is no more of just him or her. Okay. It is, you have to
There's lots of pronouns.
Abide by a lot of different things.
There's lots of pronouns, right? But when you say abide by,
people expect you to, right? They expect you to address them as what they would like to be identified with, or be, you know, like just anybody correcting how do you say a name? That's basically how it comes off when when you say it the wrong way. If you do ever encounter a situation like that, and me being in a medical field, I have encountered situations of that nature.
Sure.
I just feel like it's a hard subject to go back and forth, but how it can never be an equal.
Well, then I have a question. Then should we also allow? Then should we be able to? You know how we have freshman, reserve, junior, senior, or freshman. To play on a freshman team in high school, you have to be a freshman. To play on a juniors team in high school, you have to be a JV team. You have to be a JV or under. You know, to play on a reserve team, you have to be sophomore or under. Then, if someone is a senior and feels like they are truly feel like they are younger or identify as younger, right? Then should a senior be able to play?
So that's
or should we just outlaw even the types of,
like I said, I don't think there's this
even the age. Should it just be all one team or all one league?
I think it's crazy to think that we even have
because it's public schools. There's public and government funded schools.
It's just a hard subject. I think that 10 years ago, this wouldn't be something that we would even have to be sitting there thinking about. No, you're going to play for the WNBA. If you're pursuing that style,
if you're a woman,
you're going to play for the NFL. If you're a male pursuing football.
So, but isn't it really cool when you get to see a woman kicking a field goal? Or I've seen it.
So people bring that up a lot.
Like I've seen it. I know one time I got corrected. It was real dope. I was in maybe it was Burger Crave or Burger Fry or something. They were something. They were advertising a vegan burger, so we went to go try it out. And then this young lady, she walks in half of her uniform, right, from football. And I was like, okay, what are you, a kicker? She looked at me and said, defensive back.
Wow.
And then walked off like, punk.
Yeah, like, yeah, she better know.
Yeah, and then like somebody who was closer was like, she just got an interception and like 4 tackles.
Yeah, like
I was like, oh,
she did her thing,
she's going hard. Yeah,
yeah,
she's going hard. So I think like, isn't it really cool when those gender biases or those gender gaps are able to be broken and something? Because I was like, that's super cool. And, you know, some of those gender roles are able to be shrugged off. But then again, would you feel some type of way if your daughter or my daughter, you know, if you're watching your niece was competing in track and then a boy transitioned into a girl takes first place? She trained all these things and all this time to be in the girl division.
Yeah.
But then a boy who's now transitioned to a girl, but with a boy biology, beats her. Is there a problem with that, or is that saying that we need to just drop all gender roles in sports and just compete and just say where you are, right? So maybe you're not putting such an emphasis on getting first place, getting second place. You're just really competing with yourself to see what you can get.
But there's always a top, there's always a ceiling one hit. So first place will always.
Right. Well, does it always have to be competitive, or can we just have it where it's like you're always competing against yourself?
No, because that's what the drive is for, in my opinion. But it's hard not to be in a position where you offend somebody on this type of subject. Sure. But that at the end of the day, I know all the time with my significant other at home, I always tell him like, you're way stronger than me. Like, there's just no way. Like, you know what I mean? If I wanted to overpower a male, I feel like there's just no. Women or men.
But there are. But they're okay. Now, when you say that, okay.
In some instances.
Hold on though. You bring up a good point.
It's just in some
bring up a good point.
I'm
But let me bring something up. Okay, let me bring something up.
Yeah,
Sister to Soundoff. Sister Soundoff. Let me bring something up to Soundoff. Okay, so we were watching. I watched just a little bit of Monday Night Football last night just to check in on Baker Mayfield because he did what I thought he was going to do. They did.
Brown.
But they said they're going to do. They can't do.
You see Odell Beckham? He took out a billboard down in Times Square.
No, I didn't see that.
Yes, trolling.
Really, but I saw the one hand catch.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Nasty. Anyways, so, but then my son was like, I want to watch a fight. You know, one of the UFC fights or something. So we put on the rerun of the fight from Saturday, I believe. And so we got to see Cyborg fighting against, I think it was Jenny Swanson or I forget her last name, but Swenson maybe, she put on a heck of a fight. And because she was 0-7, 7-0, she's undefeated. And you know, Cyborg was like 22-2 or something. Sure. She's great. And so these ladies were banging. And when I mean banging, I mean more action happened in the first 2.5 minutes than what happened. More action happened in the first 2.5 minutes than what happened in the whole other fights that we watched that night. World. I mean, they were going at it, and it was skillful, it was tactful, and it was a beautiful display of some of that sweet science. They were boxing, they were trying to get at the Brazilian jiu-jitsu. It was just amazing. And, you know, so I looked at my wife, and I was like, babe, you think you can hold your own one of those girls? She was like, no, not even close enough. And then so we watched more of the fight. And she looked at me, she said, babe, you think you can hold your own one of those girls?
I like that.
And I said, in the ring, I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't want to step in the ring with Cyborg, right? I'm looking like outside the ring, you know, there's different variables or whatnot. But if you could see how strong she was, and then I watched her competitor, Swenson, I think it was her. She was hitting her with these elbows to the face, and she was just taking them like, hold up, I'm cool.
Getting nasty
but Cyborg was giving back shots. It was, and they were taking these shots like it was nothing, and they were kicking the legs and the strongness in the legs.
All of the time.
It was all the things, and I'm thinking to myself, Cyborg might beat my butt, right? Now I'm thinking, I better get to the gym, is what I'm thinking.
Now, feel like that's how you should feel. Right?
For real. So what I'm saying is, though, I think that there are definitely some women that are amazingly amazing. I mean, you know, if you take the fastest woman in the world right now and put her on a track, she's going to beat 99.9% of any male in the world. But then the fastest of the fastest males are still 1.5 or 2 seconds faster, isn't on the 100 meter, you know? So I mean, what's a second? What's a couple seconds? That's everything in the 100 meter.
In that type of environment.
And so would there ever be? I mean, you know, the fastest woman might be 7th or 8th.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like it's always
like she'll not, but
that's the point, right?
But so that's what I'm saying. When we say women are not as strong, I don't know about that. Like I said, because anybody says that, hey, you want to step in the ring with Cyborg? You want to step in the ring with Cyborg right now? Okay, we're gonna say women aren't strong.
There's just different instances of like things across the board. Like we can always argue, right?
But is she the exception? But then again, I say, look, I done seen a lot of women mop a table up with somebody.
That are the exception.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think I understand what you're saying. Like when it comes to like, you know, The Rock, like, you know, could you name a woman that could give The Rock? But you can name a lot of men that can go up against The Rock, right?
Yeah, and like we said, it's
a weird conversation.
I just think that in the end, it's somewhat always going to be unfair if we allow it to happen, just because.
Okay.
We're always original to the core, even when you try not to be. Like those things just come out. So even though they made the transition, they own her. If you look at Caitlyn Jenner, that just changed, right? Okay. You look at the body physique. She went the whole change, the whole transition. Yeah. But if you look at
that's just because you knew. That's just because you knew.
But that's a lot of different. Even if you watch these different drag shows, there's 20 reality shows out here that have people that transition.
I've seen plenty of people in the regular world that I would have no idea transitioned, and they are living happily with that other person. I would have no freaking idea. No freaking idea. Men and women. Yeah. That are now men and women, and I had no idea at all. I mean, got beards and everything, or don't got beard. You know what I mean?
Like I said, I think that at the end of the day, there's no way to please everybody.
But here's my thing: if there is, it's just real tough. So then, does the Olympic? Because at some point, it'll get to the Olympic point. Level. Because I believe
already been an issue.
Didn't they tell a woman who had producing too much testosterone,
and she was just a female.
But she had to take some testosterone suppression. So then there's some of these men that transition to women. Then some of these men who are in women's body, right? No, women that were in men's bodies that are transitioning, right, to their rightful.
They want.
To the rightful sex, right, or gender. To the rightful gender. Then they have. Are saying that they produce less testosterone. Like they can be tested saying that they produce less testosterone than some of the women that are competing. So that adds a weird bit of science to it.
It's just across the board weird. And then
not weird. I think weird is the wrong word.
It's unusual.
Yeah, and I think it's just because we don't understand.
We don't understand. None of us, unless you're, specifically,
them or unless you live it or you study that, right? Yeah, unless you live it or that's really your.
But say we do. Say we allow. Say that.
Because it's allowed in many states. Well, not many. I don't know. I know Maryland for sure. Right, Maryland and like Connecticut, it's happening in those states because I watch. You have to let them. And they're kind of like dominating powerlifting and some parts of track and some other things like that. Really? So that's where some of the that's some of the articles, the controversy that I've been reading and things like that.
I know I've heard that controversy.
But it's tough because sometimes I've heard that. So someone transitioning into a female wants to participate in the male sport, but they're saying that they can't because they're female. So it's kind of like, that's where a lot of the controversy is coming from because this individual wants to compete with the males, but they're saying because he transitioned into a female that he can't. So that's a great. It's a conundrum.
Yeah, that's a great.
Is that the right word?
Whole nother.
Comment and see if that's.
It's a whole nother spectrum right there. Yeah. Comment and let us know what you think.
There's a lot of different things going.
Should there be?
But keep it respectful and keep it thoughtful. Trying to keep empathy. If you're gonna comment.
Well, at the end of the day, the sound off, right? We love everybody. Peace and love.
Let's keep it respectful and not discriminate in any way, but bring up the conversation to hopefully get more understanding.
Right.
So if somebody can school us, please do, because we'll take some schooling on that.
Conversation is always.
But what I don't need any schooling on is the Huskers' record, and they are not going to get past 6 wins, unfortunately.
Well,
Told you
I think
again.
that's
I don't need
totally
schooling on that.
untrue.
I don't need schooling on that.
And you know that you're going to eat those words. We open a Big Ten play. They're going to come out hot, ready to go. They definitely still have work to do because that type of play isn't going to get them too far in their conference. But I think they'll be fine.
So before we leave on this, I want to end on this. I want to give a shout out. Okay? I want to give a big shout out real quick to my man, Cam Newton. His hat game is on fantastic.
What
phenomenal.
about the scarf game?
The scarf game
you
is
like
straight
it.
dope.
Knew he
That
gonna like
scarf
that.
game, the scarf game is
looked,
something. The scarf game is going on another level. Okay, he's on another level with the scarf game. And what I'm trying to say, Cam, I already know you ain't listening because you know you're fresh, right? Keep it fresh. Keep it going. I thought that I have my hat game right, but I messed around and DuckDuckGo. I went on DuckDuckGo and searched some images of Cam Newton's hat game. Woo! That man got a hat game. His hat game and the scarf underneath just took it one step.
I don't know what that is, but that stuff is not appeasing to me.
Oh, that scarf was amazing. And so here's another thing. I had rocked the top hat the other day. When we went to the casino, my wife and I, we had a date night, and I'll post a picture later in the comments or something. But then I was looking through his pictures, and he had a mean hat, a top hat on once, but he put the ace in it. So I was like, oh, that's a nice play on the top hat. Put the ace in it.
Ace of spades.
He put the ace. I think it was the ace of spades.
It has to be the ace of spades.
Oh yeah, he put a nice flick on it. So shout out to my man. Shout out to my man, Cam Newton's hat game. It's going amazing. Man. I know they started 0-2. Don't trip. You know who you are.
They got that drip, you say, huh?
You're MVP. Don't even trip. You got it.
Now that scarf got to be putting on the round.
You know who tries to get his fresh on too? Tom Brady. Tom Brady tries to get his fresh on every now and again. He tries to get his fresh on. So
Tom Brady,
yes, honorable mention for Tom Brady getting his fresh on. He usually tries to get his fresh on. I hope so.
All that money they're making, you got to come out looking clean.
Well, I'm telling you, my man does it right.
Know what I mean? I think that the basketball players dress way.
Yeah, they do a little bit. They do a little bit. I like how.
But Cam over here doing some things that he trying to be a trendsetter. And
man, Cam is doing it right. Cam is doing it right. So we appreciate y'all watching with us. You make sure that we're only on channel 724. You know that. So you got to subscribe. Got to make sure to get on this thing. Subscribe. Check us out every week. And hold on though, Sister Shali, she's getting married.
Ooh.
Getting married.
Super exciting weekend coming up. We got a lot of good things.
Getting married, so that's gonna be fun.
It's gonna be
so
amazing.
We might not be next Tuesday, to be real, keeping it real.
We're gonna see what we can do next
because you might have to just have a little bit of married time.
We're gonna have a little break.
Might have a little married time. I understand that. So congratulations, Shali. It's gonna be fun. I can't wait for that.
Shout out to Rodney Jones. It's gonna go down.
Family. You know, we're gonna see some family and all that. So thanks for checking with us. Valenti Soundoff. Until next time.
Wait, sound off. Yeah, you would bring up that. That's a hard.